Hey, Mike.
Hey, John, what's up, man?
Oh, nothing much. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain.
Same here. I'm excited about doing this episode with you again.
Yeah, so am
So,
I. So am I.
all right. So, hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show for tonight's podcast. I actually have Mike Perkins again with me tonight, and we're actually going to be reviewing The Sopranos season 4. And, I just want to say thank you to everybody that has been following us. And when we're doing the Soprano reviews, it does mean a lot to us for us to be able to have some support whenever it comes down to these shows. And, what better way than do season 4?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, first off, I just want to go on ahead and do a little recap before actually getting into season 4, because we touched on it a little bit when it came down to Tony's Guma, which
Uh-huh.
was actually the Mercedes dealer.
Yeah,
Uh,
Gloria.
Gloria, yeah.
Mhm.
And I forgot to mention the fact that she throws a piece of steak at him and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
because
We
he's in
didn't
a
we didn't
right.
touch on that last time.
We didn't touch on it too much, I don't think,
Okay, okay.
but
Because that was funny when she hit him with that piece of meat. That was hilarious.
you know what's funny though? That meat was actually supposed to be a sponge that she threw at him, like this big, huge soaking sponge.
Oh shit. Well, it
Yeah,
looked real.
and well,
For
get
sure.
this: the actress who plays Gloria, she's
Mhm.
like, I don't want to throw this at him or anything like that. It's not realistic enough or anything like that. So they actually did get a real steak and actually throws it at him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because
So
it looked real for sure. Because
it
it was
really
real.
did. And he's of course Tony's trying to get out of even being with her and everything else because he wants to be back with his family. He doesn't want to be there. As a matter of fact, he's actually bored with her and things like that. So Tony winds up leaving her, and then he leaves it up to Patsy to threaten her with the gun
Yeah.
and tell. And some people are saying, well, Patsy was not the right person to actually threaten her. They should have sent maybe Christopher or someone else. But you can still be, uh, to me, you can actually still be intense without having to yell. You can actually have your voice up to a certain octave
Oh
to where you
yeah.
can actually
And
feel threatening.
didn't he? He had a gun on him, didn't he? Didn't he pull a gun on her and
Yeah,
talk to her?
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it doesn't matter who you are. That's intimidating as shit. You got a gun pulled on you.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, no,
Exactly.
it doesn't
Because he
matter.
said if you don't, and matter of fact, it got very stalkish in a way
Yeah.
as well because she also gave a ride to Camilla and
Yeah.
everything, and she knew where Tony lives. She had a chance to probably tell Camilla that he's actually banging her and everything, but
Right.
she doesn't.
Right.
So that leads up to season 4 pretty much. Even though that her character is dead, did you know she was actually going to be a season regular at one time?
Really?
Yeah,
No, I
but
didn't know that.
yeah, matter of fact, the actress that plays Gloria and everything, David Chase was going to have her as a regular, but he could never get in touch with her or whatever and stuff like that. So when he finally did, he goes, "Look, I have some bad news about Gloria." So
Yeah. No shit.
because
I didn't know that.
yeah, so anyways, now we're going to go on ahead and get into season 4. So the very first episode is called "For All Depths, Public and Private."
Hmm.
And this is where Tony is actually getting mad at the crew for not kicking up to Junior, and Tony is trying to push his men harder to earn to help Uncle Junior with his legal bills.
Hmm.
Carmela also wants to know too where all the finances are going to, so that she can invest in the stock market.
Right.
Tony tells Christopher that the police officer retiring was the one who killed his father. And so, what do you think of that? All that stuff actually combined
I,
into that.
honestly, I mean, I don't remember how I felt when I first watched it, but I know watching it now, um, that episode is kind of boring to me. You know, but
Right,
um, now what is interesting to me on that episode is the whole thing about the cop that killed Chris's dad or whatever,
right.
because that it might not be him. Tony's just telling him that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be, he could be just saying that to him just for him to go kill this guy. You know what I mean? Like so, it's
You
just
see,
interesting to me that maybe I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't the guy. You know what I mean?
exactly, because I was thinking that too. I'm like, I think he's just bullshitting him just to see if Christopher would actually have the balls enough to kill somebody.
Right, right. And then
Because at
him
that,
using that
right,
about his father and everything, to me, was kind of shitty. It's like,
it
oh man. I
was.
mean, but I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was the guy that killed it, but the way they let it up, the way it looked like, it may not have been him. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking though, since we're actually going to get Sopranos prequel and everything in the works with not Saints of New Jersey or something like
Yeah.
that we're actually getting.
Yeah.
I think that I might actually dive into that, see if Tony was actually bullshitting him or not.
Oh, that'd be cool. That would be really cool.
Because that will answer a lot of our questions whenever it comes down to it,
Yeah.
if he was actually just bullshitting or not.
Right, right.
But, no one kicking up to Junior and Tony trying to push the men harder to earn for help for Uncle Junior,
Yeah.
which is actually understandable. You want them to be able to earn, and I don't blame him for being mad or anything. The man has cancer. Not only that, but they're supposed to be earners, and they're not even breaking away. And it also goes to show you too, during that time, we were going to look through a little bit of a recession at that time too,
Yeah. Yeah.
during those Bush years
Yep.
and
That's right.
everything. So that's also another major factor, and it was even showing on the show itself. So therefore, the finances are not as strong as they were whenever they started out. Well, whenever the show started out 3 years ago, it shows the drop and decline in the whole entire finance situation
Right.
with the mob.
That's right.
So it
Yeah.
affected the mob as well.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And then Carmela wanted to do a stock market and everything. And to me, I mean, getting into a stock market thing is very risky. I don't blame Tony for not wanting to do it.
Well, yeah, because Tony knows that she don't know shit about it. So why does he
Right.
want to invest his money? And like you said, during a recession and everything, why am I going to invest my money in that when you don't know what the fuck's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Right, and I can understand from Camilla's viewpoint though too. She actually wants to be a good mother and stuff like that, and be able to provide for her family as well. But at the same time, you need to invest in your stock smart and not dumb.
Right.
And you actually need to know what you're doing.
And let's get it straight. She's not wanting just like $100 or something. She's wanting quite a few thousand. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
I think I want to say like 20 grand or something like
it was
that.
something outrageous. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not. You want to play with some stock market shit. I'm not giving you 20 grand. Sorry.
Right. But don't forget, a year ago in season 3, she wanted to make Tony pay for college.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fork over $48,000.
Yeah. I mean,
to the college.
She seems to think that the way he makes money is easy or something, because it's really not. It's really not easy.
It's really not. Because think about it, you actually have to get the guys from the streets to pay up to you,
and not to mention it's very dangerous.
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ, he's just gonna give me. Yeah, no, he ain't gonna give you that money.
Exactly. So episode 2 is called No Show. This is actually where Christopher is appointed capo of Polly's crew because Polly's in prison.
Yep.
For a tail light, I believe, right?
Yes.
And it linked him up to.
I think he had a stolen gun.
Yeah, it linked him up to a stolen gun that might have been part of a crime that was committed.
Yep.
And everything. So they're holding him in there for observation up until they can actually prove it or not. Patsy also resents Christopher and starts being shady towards him. And you can even tell at that dinner table at that whole entire deal.
Oh, when they made him capo, you could look at Patsy and see that he was pissed.
He was. And not only that, but Patsy also put him through hell whenever he said, even though Tony put Patsy up to this whenever about The Wire, being in the FBI and everything. Yeah. But you can tell Patsy does not like Chris at all being part of the capo. Right. My favorite quote that Christopher actually says in this one is where he winds up saying, "You know what? I can't wait to go ahead and get wings like Polly does."
Yeah. And who was it? Syl. He was talking to Syl when he said that.
Yeah. Right, outside of the restaurant. So I thought that was actually
just gave him a look like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
And I thought that was actually pretty funny. Cool. Chris actually deserved to actually be a capo, to be honest with you, after all the things that Tony put him through.
I mean, Tony put him through hell, man.
And also, too, I mean, even Tony drills him out after the fact with, after killing supposedly his father, remember at the barbecue or whatever? And he goes, I just hope that I'm worthy of being a capo. And Tony's like, why wouldn't you be worthy?
Yeah.
And I think in the back of Christopher's mind, though, is I'm number one, I'm a junkie for
Well,
starters.
yeah, yeah.
And you're putting me in.
But I mean, yeah, like the way I'm looking at it is for 4 seasons that we watched it, you know, Chris didn't move up at all, and he was whacking
No,
so many people. I mean, he was doing so much shit for Tony and everybody else, and I mean, it was just to me, he deserved to be capo for sure.
he definitely
Yeah.
did. And let's see here. And then, of course, that's also too. Silvio suspects that Chris is starting to uprise his place in Tony's circle, which you can actually see. Patsy tells Chris about fiber optic cables
Yeah.
at the no-show
Yep.
job, and that's also too when Patsy winds up telling about that, and there's like a look in Patsy's eyes, like, "Hey, go in and take it," and everything, and it can actually be used for money. And Chris, being the new guy on the block, Chris was just thinking, about the money aspect of it and bringing money in to
Right.
Tony and trying to earn his stripes
That's
with
right. Yep.
Tony. He didn't, right, and he didn't realize that Patsy was playing him the whole time or anything like that. He's the new kid on the
Right.
block. Of course, they're gonna put him through hell because he's the rookie of being, even though he was a made man, but he's also a rookie at being a capo.
Yep.
So they're actually gonna put him through 10 times hell trying to
For
get
sure.
over on
Yep.
it. Then Patsy tells Chris about the fiber optic cable. Chris tells Patsy that they can be. Patsy tells them that they can be removed. Tony is actually angry at Chris for doing that, for stealing the cable, for the fiber optic cable, because they're already on the FBI's watch
Right.
list, and that just adds more
Yeah.
fuel
That's
to the
just more
fire.
heat. That's all it is. Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, after that, it winds up happening because it could bring, like I said, Pete on them. Silvio and Patsy steal floor tiles from the site. And Chris drives to the site and has a violent confrontation with
Oh yeah.
Patsy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? If that was Tony, he would not have brought Carmela to that site because Adriana was actually in that
Yeah. Right.
car
Yep.
as
Yep.
well. And she's also being investigated by the FBI and
Yeah.
everything, especially after the stuff that
And
happened.
your wife or girlfriend or whatever should not be involved in shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's a rule, and in the mob, like they shouldn't be right there with them doing that kind of shit.
Right, and now Adriana is actually seeing how violent they actually are up close and personal versus whenever you just see them
Yeah.
at dinner.
Right.
Also, too, in episode 2, Christopher Adriana gets high and tries to get Danielle to feel him
Yep.
up, which also leads into, like I said, it leads into episode 2. She loses the case and has no choice but to tell Adriana that she's on the FBI, is an FBI agent. Before that, Adriana tells her that she had an abortion because at that point in time, she actually trusted her and everything. And that's pretty much that part. And then Ralphie tells a joke about Johnny Sack's wife
Yeah.
about having a 96 mole removed
From
from
her
her
ass.
ass.
Yeah. I thought it was funny.
I thought it was actually pretty funny as well. Did you know that was actually a fat suit that the actress was actually wearing, though?
Really. No
Yeah.
shit.
She was not even that big of a person or anything like that. It was just a fat suit that they were using.
Well, so it's
But
not so bad then. Yeah, when you laugh at it, she's not really fat, so it's all good.
right. But according to Johnny, though,
He's
he's
pissed.
pissed.
Yeah, he's pissed for sure.
And I actually like this
Well, let's
episode a
not
little
forget.
bit,
Let's not
but not
forget
as
that Johnny didn't hear that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody
right,
told Johnny that.
right, right. Which is Paulie, who was
That's
in
right.
jail, who heard it from
That's
Paulie
right.
Jr. So it's like a girl's, like, I don't want to get ahead of myself whenever it comes down to Ralphie. He goes, but it is like a girl's gossip girl
Absolutely.
game where Sally told Susie, Susie told Johnny, and next thing you know, it's this big old
That's
huge
right.
thing. But Junior so of course Paulie Jr. tells Paulie Sr. in prison, and Paulie Sr. tells
Yep.
Johnny from
Oh
prison.
yeah. Yep. And Johnny was not happy.
But my question is this: do you think that Paulie was actually trying to join sides with the New
I
York
think
mob with that, or
it looked like it. It damn sure looked like it. I hate to say it, as much as I love Paulie, man, but he's kind of like a bandwagon person. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna ride with whoever is. So even though he's a ride or die person, he's gonna do whatever he can for whoever he's with. But if he sees opportunity elsewhere, he's gonna take it. You know.
Exactly. But not only that, but I can also feel like maybe Tony might have forgotten about him since he's in
Yeah,
prison.
yeah, and that's kind of that, man. That's also kind of the thing. It's like, when you go to prison, you just got to do your time, and you don't rely on the mafia. You have to, fend for yourself in prison, and then when you get out, you're back to that life. You know what I'm saying? You are kind of forgotten when you go to prison, but they should know that when they go to jail. You know?
Right. Because Tony's actually having to lam it and everything, which is also slang for just
Right,
laying low because of the FBI and
right.
stuff like that. So that's understandable why Tony would actually
Yeah, and
lam
and
it.
see, and
But
Paulie, being Paulie, he's not gonna understand. He's gonna be, he's gonna be Paulie.
right,
Yeah,
he's going to do the opposite of what Tony wants him
exactly,
to
for
do.
sure.
Okay, so this next episode for episode 3 is called Christopher. For episode 3, and at first I thought this episode was about
Yeah,
Christopher. I thought it was actually
yeah,
about
yeah.
Christopher, since he actually just got
Right.
Capo. But I forgot what the Christopher Columbus episode was actually named after. So that's what this is actually
Yeah,
named after. So at the start of this, we actually hear about the protests and everything with the Christopher Columbus parade. Of course, that pisses off Silvio. It pisses off all the other gangsters, all except Furio, because Furio goes, "I never elected." Uh, he goes, "I never elected the Christopher
yeah,
Columbus," and he spits on the ground.
yeah, yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that was actually going on at that time. I think people were, having like not riots, but like strikes, protests and shit about Columbus at that time. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong.
I don't remember, to be honest with you. That came out during the era that you and I were in
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school
So it's like, but I
and
vaguely remember
everything.
seeing stuff like that on TV, but I might be wrong. It might be one of those made up memories just from seeing the show so many times.
Right, but I might actually have to look into that
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Now that you actually
But
mention
just
it,
it's like a
but
vague memory. Like I feel like something like that happened. I don't know. I might be wrong. Yeah,
right, but also too, that's when also Silvio, Ari, and all them go down to the Christopher
yeah. Which
Columbus
was great.
parade,
Which
and,
was just
right,
fantastic.
and of course there's also a big thing of Christopher Columbus being
Yeah,
hung
yeah. They
and
yeah they
everything
didn't care
too.
for
So he goes, "Get that fucking thing
that.
down," and so. And also, not to mention, Patsy was involved in that
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well, and but Paulie Jr. got the worst of it though, because he actually got a beer bottle slung to his
Yes, he did.
head.
Yeah.
And then Artie was such a pussy and everything. He just went on ahead, ran into the car, and locked the door.
But in the beginning, when it's all everybody's talking about doing it, he's all acting tough and shit. Artie's hilarious. He's funny with
Right.
that shit.
He is. We're gonna get into him in a minute,
Yeah.
though, when we go into the other episode where he actually borrows money from
Yeah.
Tony.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But let's see here. Then let's see. They plan a protest against the parade. Bobby's wife Karen passes away after a car crash, and this is also where Bobby doesn't realize that he passed up Karen's car on the interstate, and he's stuck in traffic. And his son calls him up. He goes, "Hey, mom wants to know if you can get some pasta bajul or whatever it is that that he, she wants him to pick up." And he goes, "Well, your mom's a real pain in the you know what."
Yeah. 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 So he feels bad.
And also, right, and also too, she just left seeing Carmela. Karen just left from seeing Carmela and that because of the whole ordeal with Father Phil,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
with the Italian woman that was talking bad about the
Yep.
Italians, about the Italian woman and everything, and stuff like that, and just low grading them because of who they
Yeah,
are.
that father feels something else, isn't
He is. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna make them feel really guilty and shitty about what they're doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and invite this person that is a woman who's speaking about women who are married
he?
to
Yeah.
the mob. So basically, you had two different fronts actually fighting. You actually had the Italian women fighting against this woman that was speaking out, that was pissed off, and then you also have the men who were fighting in a protest against Christopher
Yeah,
Columbus. Well, fighting for
that's
Christopher
right.
Columbus.
That's right. Yeah, they were all
But
heated up. All of them.
also too, this is also the episode where Janice winds up ending the relationship between Ralphie and her.
Yeah.
And at first, she's actually loving it because of the fact, when you're having an affair, you're actually loving the suspense of maybe getting
Yeah.
caught. And then once you get caught, or once the flame is not there anymore, that's it. It's pretty much
Right.
dead. And that's exactly what happens
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah, and
And she winds up
Janice is starting to see her opportunity to jump in there with Bobby because Karen just
right,
died.
right. We're gonna get to that in
Yeah.
a minute too, because I want to talk
Yeah.
about that. But Janice also shoves a dildo up Ralphie's ass.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
Right? That goes into some of the kinks that he's actually going to be getting into for this
Right.
season, because we actually find out some more stuff that actually
Yeah, that little
happens.
freak.
Yeah. Everybody's thinking that maybe Ralphie might have been a closet gay that never really
I
came
think he
out.
was just a freak, man. Just a freak.
I
Just
think
a
so too.
wild freak. That's it.
That's what I'm thinking, because not only that, but even Richie wasn't the best person either, sticking a gun on
No, he was into some weird. He was into
Janice's
some weird
head.
kinks too. Janice is just into some
Right.
weird. And Janice actually needs Bobby. She
Right.
needs a break from that fucking crazy.
And more than she thinks she
Yeah,
does, she needs some
for
normalcy,
sure.
which I
For
think is
sure.
why too she goes
Yeah.
after him, because Bobby is the more gentle person out
Right.
of the
Right.
mob. He's like a teddy
Yeah, for
bear.
sure. For sure.
And I can understand that, but at the same time, Janice needs to respect Bobby's
Yeah.
boundaries. Though too. But anyways, my favorite thing that happens is they're still pissed off about this whole entire situation with the Christopher Columbus parade, to the point where they actually got Ralphie, of all people, to sit in the waiting room where this police to where this Native American chief is at, and talks to
Yeah,
him.
like you said, Ralphie of all people.
Right, Professor Del Redclay is
Yeah.
what it is. And so, anyways, he actually gets uh, let's see here. It was actually Professor Del Redclay was actually the professor, but publicizing the fact Iron Eyes Cody, a popular Native American, is an actual
Yeah.
Italian American instead of a Native American, and that puts a whole
that's actually true.
entire
That's real. Yeah.
yeah. I knew that. I knew that was actually real. I remember my mom actually telling me
Mm-hmm.
about that
Yep.
and everything, because I remember watching that film that he was actually
Yep.
in. But I remember after he leaves, the professor goes and looks at his daughter. He goes, "You didn't tell me this?" Because I didn't know
Yeah.
that this happened.
Right.
That's what it was. And then after that winds up happening, an actual Tony appeals to Ron Zillman, who's assemblyman and Indian chief, to convince Red Clay to cancel the protest. Although this fails in the chief's and Tony and his crew to his. Well, this is also when he gets the invite to the casino.
Yeah.
And everything too, which was actually funny because of the fact that he was just doing it as a way to actually ask for a favor, which is to get some singers into
That's right.
the casino. It was something to benefit him rather than benefit Tony, because even Tony actually says that too. But yeah, so both let's see here, protests occur without the mob. Both sides, the Native American and the Italian side of things, the protests occur without them, which upsets Silvio because remember on the car ride home, Silvio is still pissed off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't remember what he said. Do you have any lines that he said from that part? I don't remember. It was funny. I know it was funny.
Well, Tony goes, "What's up with you with that big puss on your face?" is what he says. And Sil goes, we should have been there. Because you just found out about it. You were having fun just a
Yeah.
few minutes ago inside the casino, not worrying
Yeah.
about this shit. And here you are.
Wasn't I think Sil was driving, wasn't he?
And he goes,
And that's it. Yeah, okay.
yeah, Sil was
Yeah, because I
driving.
could remember him behind the steering wheel, like being pissed looking. Yeah.
Right. And then that's also too when he said, whatever happened to the strong silent type
That's
like
right.
Gary Cooper? Yep. That's what Tony says to him. He goes, Gary Cooper was a fictional character. And he goes, he may not have been like that in real life. He goes, you know what I mean. So at that point, my favorite thing is my favorite quote that he actually, this is between Christopher and him, because remember whenever he said, for all Sylvia goes, for all we know, Christopher Columbus could be gay.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Christopher is drunk off his ass, and he says, wait, Christopher Columbus was gay? And Tony's like, no. He's getting irritated with the both of them.
It's like he's talking to children.
And then, right. And then the other thing I like that he winds up saying is this. He goes, Christopher Columbus happened so long ago, he might as well have been a story.
That's right.
So that's, and not only that, but he also makes this, another thing that he actually mentions is the fact that Tony forcefully argues with Silvio that his achievements came through his own abilities and not because he's an Italian American. He scorns at the idea that everyone belongs to a victimized group. And then, of course, we also talk about Father Phil. The Sopranos and Lopatazzi families meet over a meal. Johnny, speaking for Carmine, who is present, demands a share of the profit, and Tony made from Junior's, which he bought and quickly turned around. Tony agrees, but mummers, somebody's talking too much, and it's costing me money. Johnny is furious, hostile towards Ralphie, and Ralphie doesn't know why.
Yep. That's right. All right. Yeah. Ralphie made a joke about old Johnny's wife.
Right. And he's like, and Ralphie is just playing it off, though, because he doesn't actually know what happened or whatever, because as far as he knows, that they were the only ones in that room that actually knows about the joke, so he figures that nobody really
thinking, like, why the hell is he all pissed off at me? Like, well, I didn't do anything, and he doesn't realize that he's the one who made the joke about his old lady. Yeah.
Right. And then we have episode 4, The Wait, which is actually one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, you'd have to refresh me.
Okay, Johnny is still furious over Ralphie's comment about Johnny's wife. He savagely assaults a member of Ralphie's crew, who he happens to be laughing, and Johnny is thinking that the crew member is talking about him. Tony confronts him. He blames his anger, but says he loves this, basically he's just saying robust woman,
right?
His robust wife,
right?
And so,
yeah,
that's just, Johnny just loves his wife, and he just wants people to respect him and his wife, just respect his wife in general. Which I can understand that, though.
They should not have. Ralphie should have never made the joke. It was fucked up. It was uncalled for. Yeah.
It was. It was definitely out of line. But even on season 3, they were making cracks about his wife.
They were.
And then Johnny walks in while they're laughing and goes, "What's so funny?"
And see,
nothing.
Right. And the thing is it should have never got back to Johnny. It shouldn't have. They were busting balls. They were, just fucking around. And what's his name? Paulie Jr. went over there and told Paulie, which he should have never done. They shouldn't have left the circle. Period. Yeah.
No, it should have just stayed right there. But Paulie Jr. being as young as he is,
let's be honest, he ain't gonna
he's gonna do. No, he's a
sure.
splitting image of Paulie, if you actually think about it.
He's even starting to go gray a little bit.
So, right, you can actually see the grayness on top of his hair. So he doesn't have the wings; he just has hair, gray hair. and then on Tony's instructions, Ralphie phones Johnny
Right.
to try to make peace. And I remember the drill that he gave
Yeah.
Ralphie. He said, "Do not apologize." He does not know who. You know what I'm saying? You have
Right.
nothing to
Because he
apologize
don't know who
for.
said it. He don't know.
Right, and it cannot be proven because it's
That's right.
one person's word against the other as well. So Tony's just like saying, "Look, don't say anything, don't apologize," and stuff like that. And even Ralphie at first is saying, "You know what, man? Just tell me who it was,
And
and I'll
now
put a
this is
bullet
all this
inside
is
his
all
fucking
over the
head,
phone,
and it'll
right?
be over with."
Yes.
Right. This
Yeah.
because Tony's sitting right
Yeah.
next to him. This is before the sit down because they actually had 2 or 3 sit downs before it
And
actually
it plays
escalated to
out
a
just
certain
like an
point.
argument you would have if you were a teenager. You know what I'm saying? If you were a kid, that's the way they
Right.
are. That's their mindset. Very true.
That's true. That's
Yep. It's like
very
a
true. I
three-way
didn't think
call
about that.
between friends. That's what it is.
Right. And that's what I actually laugh about this, though. So Ralphie winds up telling him, and it reminds me of Adam Sandler's Billy Madison when the little kid is when he's trying
Yeah.
to see if the
Yeah.
teacher's actually into
What is
him.
her name? Veronica Vaughn
And then
or
the
whatever.
kid,
Yeah.
right, Veronica Vaughn, and the little kid is just asking her all kinds of questions. And then finally, it came down to one of the questions that he wasn't answering right. And then all of a sudden, he goes, "Well, Tommy, some people are more mature than
Yeah.
grown-ups are more mature than Billy." And then Billy turns around, goes, "Well, I've grown up."
And then he hangs up the phone and he goes, "You
And then
blew it."
the phone blew it. And that's
Yeah,
exactly what Tony
for sure.
basically did though, because Tony goes, "You fucking idiot. You blew this whole
He's got his
entire
hand
thing."
on his head and he's like, it's like, fuck.
Right. Because, at first Ralphie's actually playing into it because he's like, "Okay, tell me who it is, and I'll put a bullet in his fucking head myself
Yeah.
and be done with it." Then, of course, Johnny not doing what they were doing, the reverse psychology that they were trying to do, Ralphie decides, "Okay, maybe I should apologize." Because, wait, I thought you said that you didn't say it. I didn't. Then why are you apologizing for something that you didn't say? So you did say it.
Exactly. And that's what,
So,
yeah.
so he's
And that's why
contradicting
I'm saying
himself.
it's like kids like going at it. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they're playing it out is just like something teenagers would do.
Right. And so this is actually where things get a little bit rough
Yeah.
on this
Yeah, I would
episode.
say.
Um, Ralphie apologizes. Johnny takes this as an admission of guilt, and it angers him more. Johnny asks Carmine to allow a hit on Ralphie. He refuses. There are 2 sit downs. Of one of the sit downs, Ralphie is not present, but Johnny walks out saying, "I cannot
Right.
be in the same room with this man." But another thing, though, too, is my favorite thing that I thought that was actually funny was Uncle June was in one of those meetings, and it was him, and I want to say it was Johnny and Ralphie were all together in that room. I'm not sure. Maybe it might have just been Ralphie, Carmine, and Tony, and then having a meeting with Uncle June
Yeah, I
over the
think so.
phone. But what was funny though was Uncle June was dressed in a suit,
Yeah.
like he was actually
Yeah.
there in a
And it was
meeting.
just a conference call over the phone.
But of course, um, uh, so Uncle June asked Johnny, and goes, "Okay, what was the joke?" He said Jenny had to get a 90-pound mole removed from her ass. And Uncle June goes, "I don't get it." So
Yeah.
they actually had to explain the joke that Johnny doesn't even want to talk about in the first place,
It's so uncomfortable.
right? And he's like, "Yeah, it is insulting, but at the same time, but it's not
To whack
enough to
somebody over.
actually
Right.
to whack somebody over." But although he does agree with Johnny on one thing, he said, "Back in your day, Junior, people would have actually been killed over this. Now it's just a laughing stock because of people just making money." And he even acknowledges that with Carmine, he goes,
Well,
"Again with
see
the
that,
fucking
yeah,
money."
and it's like over money, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like it's this isn't the old days anymore. So if we're gonna make money, we're not gonna whack this guy because he said something about your wife. You know what I mean? Because he's a good earner.
Right.
So I get it. So I
And
get it.
then
You know what I
my
mean? I
favorite
get
thing is,
why they don't want to whack him. I
right,
totally get it because money's going to come first.
right. And
Exactly.
Ralphie's
Oh,
a
for
big
sure.
earner. Ralphie earns, well, not only does he earn for Tony, but he also earns for, New York
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He earns for both sides.
Yeah.
So I thought that was actually pretty funny. But Johnny asked Carmine permission to whack Ralphie. He says no, that he will shake Ralphie down for
Yeah.
$200,000. And Johnny responds angrily and says, "Does he get to fuck her for $1 million?"
I forgot about that.
And I understand he's raging and he's mad, but the delivery of that line
Oh,
makes
it
me
was
laugh
perfect.
every single time he says it. So Carmine hints that Johnny can be killed to Silvio to Tony. So of course they go. So of course this is when Tony tells Christopher and Silvio about someone that Uncle Junior knows. And these guys are old. Like these are like old school, old people,
Yeah.
nursing
Yeah.
home level, old.
Oh, for sure.
If you actually think about it. And he's like, well, for this much money, we can go ahead and bash somebody over the head with a baseball bat, and therefore they won't even know who he is. We can do that just like we did that back in the day. No, we just want a simple whacking. Like there's a different
It's
package.
like we don't need it all fancy like that. Just a simple one.
Like
Yeah,
he's throwing
right.
them a party or something. So at that point, though, too, Johnny also hires a hit at the same time that Tony's doing a hit, and so of course they wind up doing a hit on Johnny winds up doing a hit on Ralphie, and Ralphie is in the
Yeah.
elevator.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello? Yep. Okay. Okay. And that's my other favorite thing, though. Ralphie didn't realize he was staring death in
No,
the face.
he had no idea. Yeah.
He was high as a kite, though,
Yeah,
as
he was.
well.
He
In a
was. I forgot
Speedo,
about
of all things.
that. Now I'm picturing Ralphie in a Speedo.
So
Thanks.
you're very welcome. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
right.
that I gave you that image, by the way. But Johnny is going to go to Boston to visit his father. At this point, this is also too where the whacking
Mm-hmm.
is supposed to take place in Boston, far away from Jersey, to where they have no connection whatsoever
Right.
who would actually whack Johnny. And at the same time, Johnny arranges Ralphie to be killed in Miami, where he's saying that. So therefore, that's whenever I told you
Yeah,
that he's actually
they were
face
in
to
the
face
same
with the
elevator.
killer.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Asian dude is just staring him up
Yeah.
and down, and all of a sudden he gets the call.
And
He goes,
was
"Are you
it?
sure? I'm right
And
here.
I think
I
Ralphie was
can I
kind of
can do it right
catching
here."
on, wasn't he? He was kind of looking at the guy like, "What the fuck is you? What are you staring at?" You know? Yeah.
Right? Especially when he said, "Well, I
Yeah.
want half."
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And then even Ralphie at that point is like,
Right.
okay, what
Right.
does he mean by half? And then Johnny returns home because he forgot something and finds Jenny
Yeah.
eating junk food.
That's right.
Because because remember, he also says Jenny works so hard on her weight and everything. She does the Atkins. She makes sure that she's weighing her food, and then here she is, a big old huge
And
thing of
she's got the stash.
Butterfingers, Snicker bars. Yeah, she's got the whole entire stash there, and that's when, of course, Johnny is like, "What the fuck?" After everything I did, and he's more pissed off at the fact that he was defending
Right,
her
because she did,
than
because
anything,
he realized that
which
she's
is
not
also
actually trying. You know what I'm saying? She's not. She's acting like she wants to lose weight, but
right.
she's not trying. So he's about to have a guy whacked over that shit.
Right,
You know?
exactly. And then this is also the episode where Meadow joins the center to help underprivileged people. Tony is actually mad at the fact that she changed her major over from pediatrician to
Yeah.
doing that, to
Yeah.
being part of the law. So now we have Pyomai for episode 5. Do you want to open this one up, or do you have anything on that one?
Well, this is actually is this the? I can't remember exactly what Prt1 is. I mean, I know it's let's see.
Okay.
I know
It's
yeah, I know it's about
actually
the horse, but I can't
Ralphie's
remember. I don't
horse.
want to jump too far ahead. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay. I'll talk it through. Uh, this is actually where Adriana realizes that Crazy Horse is being used for Tony and his crew's business, and realizes the club isn't her
Yep.
own. So you have that going on, especially whenever Vito breaks her chair in her office. There's a lot of stuff going on inside that area, especially whenever you look at Chris. And once again, Chris is actually bringing in a lot of the problems and everything else and everything that he's not supposed
Yeah,
to be
because of the
bringing
drugs
in
and everything else, right?
because,
Mhm.
right. So yeah, so there's that. And then
No,
the FBI
no, go ahead, go
handlers,
ahead, go ahead.
including,
I was
what's that?
jumping ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Then also, too, the FBI handlers, including Robin, are pressing for information. They tell her that Christopher is associated with dangerous criminals, and she can help him. They also doubt that Richie and Pussy is in the witness protection program.
Oh shit, that's right.
Christopher,
Richie was also in there.
Christopher, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
So remember, even the FBI says, well, we have no
Right, right,
reclamation of that at all. So you actually have that going on, and then of course, you know, Christopher
oh yeah,
heroin is actually getting worse at this point because he's using almost every single
right.
day. He feels like he has to get a hit. And before it used to be where he used to be really angry. Now it's getting to the point where
Yeah,
it's an
yeah,
everyday occurrence,
for sure.
you know? And then Tony is refusing to sign the life insurance trust. Carmela proposes, having been advised it's too much in her favor. She receives a stock tip when he comes up
Yeah,
with the money, and it's too late. So another thing though too is I remember that whole entire life insurance policy thing. If you actually remember, he said, well, if you his lawyer said this to Tony, that if anything happens to you, if you're in prison or anything like that, that can actually end up being worse for you because all the
right.
assets go to her, nothing goes to you or anything like that. It benefits Camilla more than it benefits you. So that's
That's
why
right.
he's actually dragging his feet about it. And then Janice, now this is where Janice actually is
Hmm.
insinuating herself into
Yeah,
Bobby's family. And, I have to say one thing, though. I respect Carmela for
yeah,
what
she
she
did.
did. She stood up for Bobby because she even told Uncle
Yep,
June, all you care about is yourself and everything and what you're going through in court and things like that.
that's right.
Bobby just lost his wife. You need to give him a little bit of a break. And then here comes Janice telling the
That's right.
opposite
Yep.
of what Carmela did,
Yeah, yeah. You got to give it up for
you know?
Carmelo on that one for sure.
Because, I mean, that was something that I was not expecting from Carmela to actually do that, which I thought that
Yeah,
was really
for sure.
good that she did. Um, then, of course, this is also where Ralphie's horse
That's what I was going to
Pyomai
ask. I was going
wins
to
the
ask. It
race,
was
and
Ralphie's horse first, and then doesn't he gives it to Tony, right? Or sells it to him, trades it to him. I can't
well,
remember. I can't remember
I'm
that
going to tell
part.
you.
Okay.
Okay, I can actually talk you through that one. Um, Pyomai and Ralphie shares his pretty much. Ralphie shares his winnings with Tony the first time because he actually gave Ralphie some insight on how to actually hold back the horse, and which is actually fair. Because if it wasn't for Tony, he wouldn't have
Right.
won that first
Right.
run or anything like that. But I also feel like too, Tony's also being pressured from Carmelo, so I think that also has a lot to do why he pressured on Ralphie a lot more
Yeah.
when it came down to his winnings, because
That's it.
it
Yeah.
was all about finances with Carmelo. So him asking for the earnings wasn't so much of paying up to him. It was just the fact that he saw a chance to actually take money from Ralphie,
Yeah.
and that's pretty
Yeah.
much
For
what
sure.
happened. So there was that. And so after the second time Pyomai winning, and everything. That's when Tony holds out his hand again, and that's when, of course, he gives Tony the whole entire winnings, all his winnings. And you can tell that he's hesitant. You can tell he doesn't want to give that up.
Yeah.
And then Tony speaks as though the horse belongs to him. And Ralphie, this also gives a sour taste in Ralphie's mouth, you know? And that also what resents the expense of everything else. So the veterinarian bills pile up on him, and the night Pi-O-My is sick, the vet calls Ralphie, and of course he passes the vet to over to Tony. So he gives the vet Tony's number, and that of course is when Pi-O-My winds
Tony
up
goes
being
and sits
okay.
with the horse and everything while the horse is sick and shit like that. Yeah, so Tony actually ends up really caring about the horse.
So
yeah.
Right, which I can understand. I'm glad that, Tony actually has a soft spot for animals, as you can see with the ducks and everything else. Yeah. And that's a big thing for him. If they're not taken care of, if the animals are not getting taken care of, he's going to find a way to take care of them.
Yeah.
Because of the responsibilities. So this next one is not really one of my favorites. It's Everybody Hurts.
Yeah.
This is the one that I was telling you about with the teenage kid, with AJ's friends at the opening scene, where we actually see them just talking about of course, AJ's dad, Tony, and everything about being in the mob. And also it goes into detail about the differences between everyday life for average people compared to them who actually has money, and if they could actually survive being just an average person.
They're all spoiled,
Right. Exactly. Because even AJ says that on the way over to New York, whenever he thought he was actually going to get to be in the city where his sister is and use the apartment to have sex with the girl.
Right.
With his girlfriend. And he said he was just looking down on average people and everything and saying, here we are with our maids, with our big houses, and here these everyday people, and they don't have anything like we do. So I like the fact that it was actually called to action for him on that part, where he's actually comparing the two and realize how blessed he really is, if you think about it. And then Carmela tells Tony that Gloria died.
Yeah, that's right.
And that also sets him off and goes over to the Mercedes dealership.
How did she get in a wreck? I don't remember. She hung herself. That's right.
No,
Jesus
she
Christ,
hung herself.
I don't forget that. Yeah, that's right. She hung herself.
Right. Yeah, she winds up hanging herself. Tony feels guilty because the last time he saw her was when she threw the steak at him. And so that's why I want to do a recap, because I didn't really feel like that we actually talked about her, Gloria that much.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I actually did a little recap before this one, because it actually ties in with this.
Her actually hang herself on that episode? That's what it was.
Tony's imagining her being hung.
That's right. Okay.
It was in that dream sequence. Because remember when he's actually kissing her tits and everything, and he goes, and she says, "Do you like this, Tony?" And then she goes, "What about this?" And it's she removes the scarf from her neck to reveal, right. But you know what's funny though? The Mercedes dealership and everything he goes to. He goes over there to ask about her, about if Gloria was still around and everything, because she showed him a good car and everything else, and she was a good salesperson. But I remember the confrontation that her and him butted heads at that Mercedes dealership, and I'm actually surprised nobody remembers him.
There was a big scene in there, right? Yeah.
Right, because remember, he was telling Gloria to stay the fuck away from his family.
He slammed her against the wall, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, he slams her up against the wall, tells her to stay away from him and his family. Not only that, but
you know, yeah.
That's what I'm wondering. Not unless it's actually a year later, maybe they got
Yeah,
some
but
other
still, man,
dealers,
that's
but still, there has to be at least
yeah, for
one
sure.
person
Yeah,
on the block
if I
that
was at
actually
work and I
knows.
saw some shit like that, I'm not gonna forget a face. For sure.
Right. But that's
Yeah,
something that I
yeah.
found that was kind
I
of
think they
odd
kind of
about
dropped
that
the ball
episode,
with that. They
about that
didn't think
part.
that they didn't think anybody would realize that.
Right. But then another thing that I thought that was funny, well, not so funny, but he goes back over
Yeah,
to see Melfi.
yeah.
And of course, Tony's actually drinking. And he goes over there. So, how's business going? Everything's going good? Everybody's all hunky dory?
Yeah.
And he goes, how's Gloria
Oh
doing these
yeah.
days? And then next thing you know, he knocks over the tissue
And
box like he
and
normally
from
does,
the
throws
first
it.
episode to now, he hasn't been seeing the therapist, right? He hasn't been seeing Melfi.
No, because remember, in the third season,
That's
him and
right.
Gloria were playing
Yep.
hooky the whole entire time, playing
Yep.
Melfi and everything too.
Yep.
And she knew that they were both
Yeah.
lying to
That's
her
right.
and everything. And he also
Okay.
called her a quack job too, that doesn't care about her patients, which also
Right.
makes Melfi really
Right.
pissed off at him for even insinuating it. Then of course, Artie asked Ralphie for $50,000
Yeah.
to go into business with
Yep.
John Philippe. And I have to laugh at this episode though a little bit with Artie though,
Yeah.
because he acts like
Oh,
he's
he
a
always.
mob.
That's what I was laughing about the whole
He's
Columbus thing, man. He acts tough, but he ain't tough.
right.
That's not him. That's not his
No,
thing, man.
not at all. Because he goes, "Gee, John Philippe,
Yeah.
that's a lot of roll." And John Philippe is like, "What are you talking about? That's a lot of
Yeah.
roll." He goes, Rolodex, roll. And next thing you know it, there's some problems that winds up happening with the deal between John Philippe and him because he was actually supposed to
Yeah.
get some type of
Hmm.
wine in for him, for Artie, overseas, which also costs for the shipping for the crates and everything else, which would actually
Yeah.
equal up to about 50K probably. But then Tony asked him, why didn't you come to me? He goes, oh, I didn't know if I should or not. But at this point, Ralph, and matter of
Yeah.
fact, Artie
Yeah.
wants to kill himself
Yep. Yeah. He was
and everything
depressed.
too. Because he knows that
Right.
Tony would
Yeah.
kill him if he
That's
didn't pay
right.
him back.
And he was. I believe he was drinking at that time too.
And
Yep. That's
yeah,
right.
he was doing pills and drinking. He wakes up in the hospital. Tony's there. And he goes, what the fuck is wrong with you? He goes, Tony, I can't pay you. I can't pay you back or anything like that. And he goes, you must have saw this a mile away. And you know what? That goes back into season
Yeah.
2 with the degenerate gambler and everything too, because he actually
Oh
says
yeah.
that too. He goes, you
Oh
saw
yeah.
this coming
And in a way,
with the store
they
closing.
never
And he saw
really
the same thing.
say whether or not he did see it coming. You know what I'm saying? They kind of insinuate that maybe, but I think he did. I think he saw it coming. You know, with with Artie.
With Artie or with the I can see it. I think I can see him seeing it, but
Yeah,
at the
it's his
same
friend,
time, that's actually his
but
friend.
see that's
And
the
also,
other thing. Like how we always talk about, you know, Tony's actually really a bad person, and just because it's his friend, that don't mean shit when it comes to
right?
money. You know, when it comes with Tony with money, money's always
No,
going to come first. And even though we love Tony to death, we love watching him and we look up to him because he's whatever, but he's a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think he saw it coming and he took advantage.
right. He saw it coming, but not only that, but if you actually think about it like this, the only reason why he didn't
Well,
kill
because
Artie
it's
or
like a
do
brother
anything
to him.
to Artie, because well, that, but also too, he's
The
also still
restaurant, yeah,
guilty over burning
right,
his restaurant. And even Artie said, "You can have the
right,
restaurant." He goes, "I don't want the fucking restaurant."
right, mm-hmm. Yeah,
So I think there's a lot of guilt and shame there because of that. Also, too, John Philippe also beats the hell out of Artie whenever he confronts
yeah,
him about the
yeah, he
money.
did, yeah,
And the thing that makes me laugh about Artie though is He's wearing a turtleneck black sweater with a leather jacket to insinuate like he's
Yeah.
like a mobster coming over there. He goes, "Hey, John Philippe, what guts a what?"
Yeah.
Which means, what's the matter? He goes, "What's guts a what?" He goes, no talk, no phone. And he
He
goes,
says
"Nice
nice
crib." I'm
crib.
like, what? So now you,
Yeah.
which would never
Shit,
have
no.
come out of Tony's mouth. He's
Yeah,
impersonating things that
that's
he's
right.
seen
Yeah, yeah.
on MTV
Trying to act
Cribs or
tough,
something
trying to be
like
cool.
that. Right, right. But
Yeah.
that episode made me laugh a little bit. It's not the strongest episodes of the season. It, it's
Yeah,
actually
for
more of a
sure,
filler
for sure.
episode if you actually
But
think about
all in
it.
all, it was still a good episode, but it just wasn't. It
But
didn't come close to the other ones, you know.
no. But we're gonna skip around a
Okay.
little bit since we're actually scraped for time a little bit. So there's actually, if people actually want to watch the show, they can actually watch it without us breaking everything down. But we're gonna go on ahead and get into. Let's see. Do you want to do the season finale part, or do you want to? Was there something that you
Well,
majorly wanted to talk about
Ralphie
as
getting
far as?
whacked.
Let's go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about Ralphie getting whacked. And I forgot what episode that it comes on. As a matter of fact, there's also another thing where Christopher sits
That
on
too. Yeah.
Adriana's dog. I want to get to that too. So we'll talk about that, and then
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
start wrapping it up a little bit. Because Anchor only allows me to record for an
Okay.
hour, so therefore I have to
That'll
invite
work.
you again
I
to
guess we'll
finish
get
it
into the
off.
dog first, then.
So,
Okay.
well, let's go into the whacking first, because I think the whacking. Well, also too, I wanted to talk about the other thing though, with which also involves Christopher though too, with going to AA
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
intermission.
there's still a good bit of stuff I want to touch on. We could talk about a lot of this on the next episode too, if you want.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, we can definitely do that because I'm having
Oh
fun
man,
watching
it was
season
great.
4. There's
Yeah,
just so
for
much
sure.
stuff. So we might actually do part 2
Okay. That
of
sounds good.
talking season 4 versus
Yeah,
just
right.
diving into season 5, you know? Because there's a
Yeah,
lot that
for
I want to
sure.
digest into, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, me
Season
too.
4 and
They're up
5 are
there
my
for
two
sure.
favorites. So
Okay.
what we'll do is, I have an idea. We'll break into talking about the whacking of
Ralphie.
Richie,
Yeah.
not Richie, but Ralphie, and then after that we'll pick up next week
Okay.
with Adriana's
That'll work.
dog.
That'll work.
Okay, so we'll
Yeah, right,
we'll
right.
leave it off on a little cliffhanger. So, okay, so Ralphie has been working under Tony's skin for a while, and everything between beating up the stripper, between him not
Yep.
paying the vet bills for Pyomai, and then finally, it took him to whack Ralphie and everything because he supposedly, without any proof or anything like that, that he ended up
Yeah.
killing
Yeah.
Pyomai,
And what
burning the
really
staple down.
what really pissed Tony off is when they were arguing. Ralphie was like, it was just a fucking horse anyway. You know what I'm saying? It was like, so what? You know, like even if I did do it, so what? It was just a fuck. And then Tony exploded. He got pissed.
Because at that point, Tony believes that he did burn down the staple, but also, too, you can't help but think that Ralphie did that as well. Because if you think about
Yeah, he
it,
did.
he got tired of hearing about
Almost like he was a little
Pyomai
jealous,
and
like in a
everything.
weird way. You know?
Well, it was
true.
his. Well, he also gave his own horse away, so he got tired of Tony winning his winnings and everything else. So the best thing to do about it is just to burn it down, in his perspective, and kill the horse. Right. And well, anyways, Tony knocks on his door, and he's making
They're always
eggs.
making
Every
eggs.
single
So if
time
you're
when
making
someone's about
eggs,
to get
just like
whacked, they
throw
always
the
make
eggs
eggs.
away. Get them out of there.
Right. So he confronts him. He goes on this door and goes, "So I just came back from the staple from Pyomai." "Oh, really? What happened?"
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Did you kill the fucking horse?" He goes, "What are you talking about, Tony?" He goes, He goes, "It was just a fucking horse."
He goes
Next thing
nuts.
you know,
I
Tony
mean,
just
they tear that
explodes,
kitchen up.
strangles him.
He sprays him with bug spray. He sprays Tony with bug spray in the eyes. Remember?
Right. He sprays the bug eyes in his the bug spray in his eyes,
and the way
and
he
it just
whacks him,
goes on
man,
to
he's
total
like
chaos.
grabs
And
him
then
by his throat
finally,
and he's slamming his head on the ground over and over again until he just stops moving. He kills him. And it's like that was a pretty intense scene,
right.
man.
That
This
was,
is
and
the
then
best. This is the
Christopher
best.
comes over.
Me too. Me too.
This is my favorite part, though. This is actually my favorite thing. This is the icing on the cake. Christopher comes over, goes, "Whoa, what the fuck?" So that was his first response. And then as they're chopping him up into pieces, he goes, "I didn't know
And the
it
way
wore a
his head
fucking wig."
falls, it sounds like a fucking bowling ball. It's like boom.
Right?
In a bowling
And
ball
speaking of a
bag. Yeah,
bowling ball,
that's
they
right.
actually put his head in a bowling ball bag.
That was great, man. That was great. And his just the way, because they show
It
Ralphie's
was.
head, they show his face, like when they're holding it. Yeah, so it's cool, man. That was a cool
Yeah,
scene
they do.
for sure. It was funny.
You know what's funny though? Once I found out that he actually did have a wig, I was actually
You can
trying to
totally
see if I
notice it.
noticed it
Yeah, for sure.
and
Yeah,
everything.
and it's
You
weird
can.
because before you knew about the wig, you
Because
didn't
even at
notice it.
the
But then
right.
after you knew about it, you're like, oh shit, he really is wearing a fucking wig the whole time. Yeah, that's great.
Right. But yeah, that's actually how that part ends. But like I said, there's a lot more stuff I
Man,
want to actually dive
on the
into
next
and
one
things
we
like
have to
that
dive
because
into
I
the
do want
dog
to get into
first. The dog scene. That's great.
we do.
For sure.
We do because that was hilarious.
Yeah, we do.
We have some bad humor. I'm gonna be honest. But also too, I want to touch on this though real quick about Ralphie's son. This is also don't forget this is also the season where he's just gonna be a vegetable. Ralphie's son is because he actually got a bow and arrow stuck in his eye because his friend winds up having an accident where he shoots the arrow and then the arrow lands on his son in his son's eye.
Right.
And everything. All right, so that's pretty much it for our Talking Sopranos season 4 part 1 review. Get ready for our Talking Soprano, our Mafia Talks Monday of the Talking the Sopranos for season 4.
Oh
man, this is always a
always.
blast to be talking about the Sopranos with you. All right, well, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for tonight's podcast. Another thing, guys, I'm actually taking a little small break because of the Christmas holidays. I do have a Christmas episode dropping on December 24th, so you guys can actually enjoy that. It's actually a Jingle All the Way review starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm doing that. And then, of course, you're going to end up getting this one as you're listening to it right now. So you're going to get that one tonight, and then tomorrow you're actually going to be getting the interview I did with an independent pro wrestler that I did tonight as well. So go ahead and stay tuned for all that stuff. If you guys want to, you guys don't have to. If you guys want to go ahead and donate towards the show, go to the GoFundMe page listed in the show notes below. Also, too, we're also sponsored by Audible. Go ahead and get your 30-day trial and go on ahead and get some good recordings for your books. And then we also have a page for all movie news. It's www.movieloversunite.com. And of course, we have a Facebook page that's been running since 2013, and that's Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite. And you can also follow us on Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Instagram, and also, of course, on Twitter, Movie Lovers Unite. And well, as a matter of fact, it's actually called Movie Lovers Unit. And then you can follow me at John DeGorio8. We also have a Pinterest, Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite. And always until next time, bye-bye. Have a merry and great Christmas, and I'll see you guys on Saturday when when Charlie Windman and I